What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Zamboni. I'm a musician and astrologer, and it's time to talk about the astrology of the week ahead. Thank y'all so much. I super appreciate y'all for being here all this time. I was thinking about it today. I was like, damn, I have done like 350 of these weekly forecasts, and y'all been here for like all of it. Some of y'all been here for like the whole thing, so thank y'all for being here for that. If you want to send me a little tip via Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, that's super helpful to me. I appreciate it a lot. I will do it without the money, but man, it fucking helps me to feel like it's appreciated. So thank you for that. You can always get a reading. You can go to zambonifunk.com and get a reading. There's a pretty wide breadth of possibilities. You can get a 10-minute reading like this one. You can do a 60-minute reading where we'll talk together. You can get a 30-minute reading. If the 60 minutes is a little too long for you, you can get a tarot reading there. You can also there's a bunch of music. Here's the cover to one of my joints. It's pretty dope. I think that you will like the music. Thank you so much for being here with me. Let's talk about the astrology of the week ahead. This week, the astrology is pretty loud, but not necessarily that insightful. So here's what I'm thinking about. So a couple of things are going on that are pretty important. One is that Mars is moving into Leo from Cancer. Mars has been in Cancer for the last like 2 months or something like this. So it's real cool to see Mars not in Cancer anymore. Now we're moving toward a Mars retrograde. I think Mars stations retrograde in the first week of December. So we've got another month between now and then. And so Mars is just slowing down. I think the station is at 6 degrees of Leo, and so it's a painfully slow Mars at this point. One thing that I mentioned to my course participants recently, because there's a course called Astrology from the Ground Up that is going on right now. We're only 2 weeks deep into an 8-week situation, so if you want to join, it's not too late. You got to DM me about it. You can't do it through the website, but you can DM me. But one thing I mentioned to those folks is that Mars retrograde is on the other side of the world from the sun, and so as such, it is up in the darkest part of the night, and so it's really good to like go out and look at Mars at this time because it's bright and red, and so it's like really just interesting sky watching goes on during that during like this part of Mars's cycle. So check that out. But and sky watching is something that you should probably do all the time. Like it's really good for the soul, I would say. Anyway, so Mars is moving towards this retrograde, and so slowing down deeply in the very beginning of Leo. It's cool to see Mars not in Cancer anymore. We have been dealing with this opposition to Pluto in Capricorn for a long time. Now, we're not getting away from this opposition to Pluto in Capricorn, even though there's a little sign boundary in between them, and we'll take it. We will take it. But every time the moon is in late cardinal sign or early fixed sign, then the moon's just going to carry the light in between them, and we're going to get that same sort of vibe with Mars being like kind of aggressive and potentially sensitive about stuff, and then maybe also confused and ready to like operate on a power dynamic that might be a little bit like a power grab of some sort or something like this. Like all of that is still in play here, but Mars in Leo is now ruled by the sun and not the moon. So the sun is far less volatile than the moon is. The moon like moves quickly. The moon is always like changing signs and aspects to other planets and rulership and all this kind of stuff. And that kind of instability is really difficult for Mars to deal with. Mars does much better in a structured environment where there are clear rules about what's going on. The sun is very constant in the way that it operates. It moves at about 1 degree a day and never goes retrograde and just does the same shit that the sun always done. The sun is an extremely well regulating force. And so this can be helpful for Mars. And also the sun is currently in Scorpio, which is ruled by Mars. So that means we've got some mutual reception going on here. That is cute. This is good for Mars's operation. Now Mars is beginning to move slowly, and we're going to see this Mars retrograde happen. So whatever goes on during this time is not likely to stick for a long period of time. This is especially noticeable as well because the other thing that we've got going on this week that is big and important is that Mercury is moving out of Scorpio and into Sagittarius. So Mercury moving into Sagittarius puts that into a trine relationship to Mars. That means that Mercury and Mars are kind of seeing eye to eye a little bit. We've got fire signs going on here. Also, Mercury in Sagittarius is going to be approaching a square to Saturn in Pisces. So that means that Mercury's primary relationships right now are with malefics. So that, if Mercury is our communicator, the journalist, the one who speaks and listens and does all the trans stuff, transactions, translation, all that sort of stuff going in between parties, then Mercury is going between us and the no boys this week. So look out for some bad news. Look out for Mercury in Sagittarius. So this is Mercury as far away from home as possible. This is Mercury, and so Mercury rules Gemini, and Gemini is on the opposite side from Sagittarius. And so Mercury in this kind of placement might be a little, so Sagittarius is like known for being exciting and adventurous and all of this kind of stuff, right? So Mercury and Sagittarius can be jabbering sometimes, right? Like Mercury and Sagittarius loves to yap. There's a lot of maybe excessive words going on. Like, did you need to say all, like, this is a stark contrast with Mercury and Scorpio, who can be mute, or who can like do less of something, cannot, Mercury in Scorpio doesn't mince the words. It's just like, look, we're gonna hit straight at the thing. Why say in 2 paragraphs what can be said in 1 sentence, right? Mercury in Sagittarius is not like that at all. Mercury in Sagittarius is like, well, the 1 sentence, like we gotta, there's plenty to elaborate on here. There are a lot of different ways we can approach the situations, and there's maybe have a lot to say about it. So Mercury in Sagittarius definitely has plenty to say about stuff, but sometimes it can get a little lost in the sauce. Sometimes it can go a little too hard, or like not even go too hard, just like have too many words. It can get like meaning can get lost in the volume of what's going on with Mercury and Sagittarius sometimes. So that's what I mean by like it's loud this week. Like there's a lot of talking going on, but then also seeing the aspects to malefics looks like it's going to be largely bad news, or maybe there is, Mercury is going to be making a square to Saturn in Pisces. That's not happening this week, that's happening next week. But seeing the square to Saturn in Pisces, then it's like, okay, so there's resistance, there's an obstacle or challenge to whatever kind of news or speech or communication that Mercury is bringing. So there's resistance to that. It's right on time for some electional bullshit. You see what's going on. I cannot wait until the word election means auspicious timing again. Oh my God, I cannot wait for that. This week, we can see that like there's content, there's lots of contest and debate in the communication space. So like no one believes anything that gets said this week is part of what we got going on here, right? So like be aware of that, and there's what a situation like. And the other thing about that is that Mercury is also going to be headed for a retrograde pretty soon. We're going to see a Mercury retrograde in late Sagittarius. So we're still in the beginning of Sagittarius right now, so we're not quite into the shadow period until I think late in the week this week. But so the same way with Mars retrograde, we're like moving into a period where whatever's going on right now doesn't look like it really wants to stick. It doesn't want to be the thing for all time. So we can see that like there's some power grabs going on here, right? And maybe those power grabs, maybe there's a certain sense of things getting like overzealous, maybe a little overconfident in some kind of way. Mars and Leo can tend toward overconfidence sometimes, and Mars moving toward this retrograde is like digging its heels in, like you can't tell me shit. And you really can't tell me shit because Mercury is square to Saturn in Pisces, and is going to be square to Saturn in Pisces for like a month and a half or something like this because of the Mercury retrograde that's going on here as well. So like Mercury is talking a lot but saying very little, and that seems to almost anger the Mars a little bit, the like action orientation. And so it looks like it's very squabbly this week. So as always, whenever we see the rough Mercury stuff, it looks great for hilarity. Be ready to laugh at not just others, but laugh at yourself as well. If you can take a joke, then you will flow much better this week. Thank you so much for being here. Check out zambonifunk.com. Appreciate y'all.